A lot of you may be planning your day around a Mother's Day brunch or a phone call to your mom. Well, you are lucky because our next guest faces another Mother's Day without a mom to call. Allison Gilbert is the author of Always Too Soon, Voices of Support for Those Who Have Lost Both Parents. And I spoke with her this week in Los Angeles. First of all, if you could share with us how you lost your parents.
My mom died when I was just 25, before I was even married, and she had ovarian cancer. And just, 5 years later, almost like whiplash, my father is diagnosed with lung cancer, hadn't smoked in 20 years, and really succumbs very quickly. And so within 5 years, boom, boom, both of my parents were gone.
That is just devastating. I can relate in a way the fact that I've lost my father, not both my parents, but my father, and that was an incredible loss for me. I went through a lot of depression. It took me a whole several years just to get through those holidays where I just wouldn't break down in tears. How do you get through?
It's a really good question that you ask. At first, of course, initially, it is very painful, just like what you said, and you do want to crawl under the covers and hide and cry, and all of that is normal and to be expected. I think what you do in the years that follow is that you do tend to sense this great fortitude, and you do get stronger, and you become empowered, and you decide, well, I can either shrink away and hide, or I can do something with this grief and move on. And a lot of people who I interviewed for the book chose to move on and move in a way that was much better for them. They chose different things in their lives. They reordered their priorities and really went into a different place.
I think you're exactly right, because like I told you, it took me a long time to get over it, but when I did, it was a matter of you're either going to step out of this or this is going to take your life over and it's going to ruin your life. So you just have to make that decision, and when you do, it's almost like you're liberated to an extent because you do have that experience. So when people are looking at Mother's Day and they're trying to deal with it because you lose people at different times, how do you suggest they get over that hump?
I think if it's raw, if it's very new, you have to accept that it's normal to feel a lot of pain, especially on Mother's Day, where there's constant reminders of living, breathing mothers around. There's Mother's Day cards, there's Mother's Day commercials. This is a hard reminder. It's in your face everywhere you look. So if it's new, allow yourself. It's okay to be sad. Of course it's okay. If it's years later, perhaps use it as an opportunity to keep your mother's memory alive, especially if now you yourself have children.
Well, you yourself have children, so the question is, how do you keep their grandmother alive, your mother alive in their eyes?
I think it's really important to show photographs, and I don't mean the trite, any photograph will do, or a portrait, a boring portrait on the wall. I mean specific photographs. For example, what I love to do, if you have a photograph of your mom, let's say at past Mother's Day celebrations, or at a brunch, or something that was festive, take out that old photograph and show that to your children. That shows your mom being happy. It shows her in an environment that she was thrilled to be in. It actually can bring back other memories, colors, textures, aromas. It can bring back colors and flavors and add to the story that perhaps a normal, everyday, black and white, very staid photograph can't. So I think it's really important to do.
I know that you spoke with a lot of celebrities who have lost both their parents. Any stories that really stuck out in your mind, that really touched your heart?
There was this one amazing quote that Dennis Franz gave me. I don't know if you remember him from ABC's NYPD Blue. He played Detective Andy Sipowicz. He was a real tough guy, a real tough character on TV. And he lost both of his parents really back to back. He described it as being in a tennis match, going from one hospital bed to another. It was really devastating for him. And what he said to me in our interview I thought was so striking at the time, really somewhat surprised. He goes, "I'm so glad that I missed my parents." And I actually stopped him. I said, "What do you mean you're glad? Come on, give me a break. What do you mean you're glad you missed your parents?" And he actually said, because if I didn't, it would mean that they didn't have as much of an impact on my life as they do.
It's true.
And I love that. That actually means that he keeps them present. He's able to pass on their memory, their values to his own children. I think that's the real measure of success.
I want to read you another quote from the book, this one from Mariel Hemingway. And she says, "Even though I lost my parents young and that was difficult, I know that they gave me what I needed for my lifetime. Everything they taught me, good and bad, was something I could use for my well-being." Now, that's one of your favorites. Tell us why.
Yeah, Mariel Hemingway is just a fantastic woman, actress turned author. And I think why that quote is so special to me is that sometimes you get caught up in feeling so sad that your parents aren't here to witness milestones that are in your life, to kind of be there to ask for advice, to be there to give you guidance and support. But what she reminded me, and reminds everyone who reads Always Too Soon, you know what? If you had them for any length of time, remember what they did, remember what they said, remember their actions. And that is the guiding force that can inform your choices now that they're gone. And I thought it was such an important thing for her to have said, because it keeps their being alive within you even if they're gone.
Let me ask you this. So what are you doing on Mother's Day?
I am so excited that it's Mother's Day. I am going to spend the day with my two children. My son Jake is just 7. My daughter Lexi is almost turning 5. So they'll be with me, of course, my husband and my husband's family. So it's a day of celebration. Of course, I will reflect upon my mom and tell my children stories about her too, because of course that's important to me to do for myself and of course for my kids.
Well, we wish you a very happy Mother's Day. Thanks for spending a little time with us today. We appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
So cherish your moms, and for those whose moms aren't around, keep that memory alive.
Absolutely cherish them while we have them. We won't always have them, so certainly.
Don't even want to think about that day.
Some folks don't. We're lucky to have them.